morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. Welcome to the 145 booth in yet another wonderful episode where we're talking about mental health for the creatives. I am your host, Lydia Ndwiga, and today we have a very wonderful guest with us, and he's a musician. And as usual, I'll let him introduce himself. Karibu sana to the show, team.
Asante sana, Lydia.
Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself to us and tell us what you do, who you are?
I don't mind.
Yes.
I've wanted to say this since primary school. Good evening, viewers. Hi, I'm Tim Riungu. I am Tim Riungu, and I'm a musician, husband, owner of livestock, and very joyful Kenyan. A musician by profession and by obsession.
Yeah. Are you sure you want to tell people that you own livestock?
Oh, yeah.
Are you claiming your wealth? Wanza kufuatwa na KRA.
Those ones, we're ready for them.
You're
we're ready for you. Yes.
Your books are in order.
Oh, absolutely.
Wonderful.
What books?
There are no books to be in order. Yeah, so we're good to go.
We're ready.
Karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
Yeah, and thank you for honoring us with your presence, and thank you for your time as well. It's not a space that is very easy, especially for creatives, to just be honest about what you have been going through. And also we've just noticed that there's a lot of those things for the society telling men you shouldn't be talking about what you're going through, you shouldn't be talking about your health issues, you shouldn't be telling people the secrets in your mind. Yeah, so thank you for coming through. So first of all, the name of the podcast is 145 Booth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's 145 for you? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your head when you think of 145?
As a musician, it's code 1, code 4, code 5. Mm-hmm. Hopefully not to get technical, but in the musical scale, code 1, code 4, code 5 are the only three that are based, that are major triads. And so they're the strongest part of a song, and so many of the songs that are popular, like Swahili songs, a lot of stuff that's sung, not only Kenya, around East Africa, they're built on code 145. So to me, I understand that to mean the fundamentals.
The fundamentals. So we're going back to the basics, right? Yeah. So if someone comes and tells you, "Hii song yako ni 145," sana, no unajua wewe ni mfungi. What emotion does it evoke?
Hey. Depends on what my intention for that song was.
Yeah.
Yes, there are times you'll want it very, very accessible. In that case, 145 is not a bad thing. But especially for us who claim to know one or two things in jazz, no, now the minors, the seconds, the thirds, the sixths, and the augmented, no, would not take that as a compliment. We'd say, I still need to go back and add some aromat.
Yeah? Yep. Why do you think so? Because that's, well, I don't know if that's our space for talking about the mental space. Because as a musician, I took it very personally when I did a song that I really liked and I released it, and then someone came and said, "Hii ni 145 sana." Or they said, it's very commercial. Yeah. So at that point, do you feel as if someone has actually amekutukana, amekwambia your music is so basic? Au ungefanya kitu na umefanya music mahali? Yeah. How does that affect your creativity at that point when someone is actually pointing out what they feel is a flaw in your creativity?
Okay, well, I think the first natural instinct is, as a human being, you'll always be protective over your idea. And this is your baby. And, when someone's telling you your baby is not a cool kid in school, you say, "Hey, Nini, what do you guys have a problem with my baby?" Yes, I would have to go back within myself and just ask myself, what was my intention with that piece of music? Because quite honestly, if you tell a Mogithi musician that your music is just 145, it's too basic, well, he'll say, and that's why people love it.
Yeah.
And that's why I get paid.
Yeah.
So, and this was something actually, it's not hearsay. There was one time I had the chance to interact with the late, great Joseph Kamaru. And a prolific songwriter. He estimated he had composed about 2,000 songs and, over 50, 60 albums. Even he wasn't sure. And incidentally, so many Mogithi artists today, you can actually apparently have a successful Mugithi career just covering Joseph Kamaru music.
Yes.
Because his songs were just so resonated with Kikuyu speakers.
Yeah.
And what he told me was that what Kikuyu listeners love is the story. So you don't complicate it with many chords. So even 145, that is even, those are 3 chords, and that's one too many.
Yeah.
A lot of Mugithi songs, 2 chords.
2 chords. We're good to go.
And it delivers the message. So that's why I'm saying that you'd have to know what was your intention with your song, speaking as a musician, so that being told it's too basic. Now, is that
too commercial?
Yeah, too commercial. Well, if commerce is what I was looking for, and if I'm getting paid like Pharrell Williams, then did I say Williams?
It's fine.
Yeah,
this is a safe space. Williams, it's okay.
Yes, Pharrell.
Follow Williams.
I tell you, because the RL thing has to come in when you're
talking
when you're talking about money.
Yeah.
But if you're being paid like some of the really, really huge global artists, those ones are comfortable to brush it off that you think their music is too commercial. Then they're like, yeah, that is the point. But if I'm not yet being paid like Pharrell, maybe then I have time for other considerations like, artistic integrity, I don't know, critical acclamation, and other English Maduong words like those.
Yes.
That when it comes to the art of the music, now not the commerce of it, the art of it, yes, definitely. I would feel something. Actually, Lydia, now that you mentioned, a friend did tell me that. A friend did tell me that when I first ventured into recording my own stuff. And ironically, the guy who produced that for me, it was back in the day. And he had a lot of experience working at Ketable Studios, and Ketable are known for their Afrofusion material. And he said, man, now this here is a banger. This one, it's easy to listen to. And because yours, it was, the saxophone was the lead instrument. So what my producer liked was that now you're making jazz accessible to people, because the typical Kenyan, and I could say East African and continent-wide, would be more prone to say, oh my God, jazz, now that is technical stuff. Either I don't know, it's for sophisticated people or educated people or the most bizarre rich people. And yet there are rich people from Murima who will say, no, me I want Mugithi.
And
Kegosho especially. They are affluent people from the lakeside. Take note, those ones are not rich, they're affluent. And they will go for their, they still won't go for jazz. They're down with their ohangla. So the thing is, what he encouraged me that this is nice. By the way, that was now the typical classic 1-4-5 song. And I thought, okay, well, thank you. Because I thought it was a bit too simplistic myself. That's because of the years that I've been playing other people's music, which, had more complex structures. And so I happily take it to a friend of mine who, again, we go back many years, and I just wanted his input. And he had produced some very successful groups. And he said, okay, catchy. I like that. On the upside, it's catchy, it's memorable. But it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So you'd need to, because again, for him, well, later I came to think, because as a saxophonist, my natural bias is to think melodically. But what I've since come to appreciate is that guys from the rhythm section, that's the keyboards, guitars, drums, they will think, harmonically. What is going on under that melody? And what you find is some music which is catchy and very memorable. The melody can even change, but you find underneath the keyboardists are still playing 1-4-5, 1-4-5.
Yeah.
And it works because the melody is not boring, because it changes every so often. But rhythmically, or harmonically, it's step 1-4-5. we can mix things up. 154, 154,
Yeah.
and
451.
and then we go crazy, throw a 6 there. But then now we come back to 145.
We come back to 145.
So rhythm section guys maybe are getting bored out of their minds. But up here, the guys doing the melody are having fun. The audience who are hanging on to the melody are having fun. And then I had initially I was very deflated because I respected his opinion.
His opinion.
Yeah. And I was thinking, he's right, and woe is me, I don't seem to have the mind for these complex harmonies and all. And maybe I need to find guys who can complicate my music a bit more. But I've since I've just had to appreciate that, man, that simplicity is a strength in itself.
In a strength, yeah.
It is a strength. It is, again, we say catchy, memorable, and it conveys the emotions that resonate with people. And, I would find out of all the stuff that I could release or give people for a test run.
Yeah.
The simple stuff would resonate.
Yeah.
Again, the guy who taught me saxophone, when he has a few albums out there, and he says, I think it was on his first album. He had all these
Complica.
Yeah,
that's what you guys complicate. Muna complicate with who?
Yes. And the reality is, no, before I get to that, he had all this complicated stuff. And when he released his album and he was waiting for critical acclamation of all the arrangements and all, apparently the song that kept standing out and he kept getting requested for at concerts was a fun little song that they had slotted in. This was back in the days of compact discs. So when you're done at the studio, then your producer will tell you, okay, I think at the end of your CD, there's still maybe 3 minutes left. So you can leave it like that. But if you have anything else you'd like to
add,
throw it in there.
It was that last one.
Yeah, that last one. So that's what he did. Because there was a fun jam, him and the band. Just one time, in between takes and all that, somebody started something. And then everybody just blew off steam. It was so spontaneous. And they liked that, whatever came out of that. So they said, hey guys, why don't we do that funny little thing that we had done? So they put it, and I think it was probably at the end of the album, because it was just a little extra, man. And that went on to be the big thig. The Mushrooms is another famous band, and they've lots of big songs.
Yeah.
But one of their most enduring, and especially if you happen to be staying at a hotel at the coast,
that's the first thing you hear.
Jambo bwana.
That's their welcome song.
Yes.
So basically, we are looking at as for mental health. Like, I think one thing that I'm getting from all this now is that 145 basically has to resonate. It has to resonate with people. So even when you're talking about mental health and going back to the basics, we need to resonate with what everyone else is going. Not per se have to be like who they are. Yeah, but just basically letting them know that even the struggles that you have might not be mine, but I also have struggles in the industry. I have struggles in the creative industry. And so even when I hear you talk, I can get that a lot of what our creativity looks like is influenced by the people around us. So in that category, in that situation where you're trying to create music that is reasonable, music that is resonating with everyone, because that's what creativity is about, right? We are intermingling ourselves with the audience, and we don't know if they will like it or not. In that space, how would you say that, what would you describe as your mental health to look like? Looking at the audience is going to judge what you put out. Looking at your friends will judge what you put out. Your producer will probably tell you, maybe someone else will come into the studio and is like, is that Tim Riungu? I thought he does jazz. Why is the music sounding? Because everyone expects jazz to be this complicated thing. Yeah. So if you look at it that way, how are you able to describe your mental health from that perspective?
Resilience. By resilience, I would say that when I figure out, I've got a sense for what is going to work in this situation, and I believe all creatives do have that.
Yes.
You know, there's the theory of it, then there's the gut feeling where the rubber meets the road. This is what happens. And I mean, during practice, you can really prepare. Ideally, you're preparing for as many different situations as possible. But when you get on stage, the referee has blown the whistle. The game is gaming now.
It's gaming.
And so
no mark timing.
No marking time. And things don't always follow the strategy. So you just adapt to whatever is happening. Now, that takes a certain resilience of mind and confidence in yourself, confidence in your God-given abilities, confidence in the preparation that you have been polishing those abilities. And then just knowing, I mean, it's not dissimilar to sports, for example. Basketballers, soccer players, they'll do their drills, you know, during practice. We have a game this weekend, so throughout the week, guys are working on their fitness and their tactics and strategies. But even their coach knows when the opening firimbi goes, now the coach can't be in there the way he has been with them during the practice. But he has to trust that they're being prepared enough to adapt to whatever situation they find themselves in the field. And so when I'm on stage, it's a very fluid environment, very dynamic. Things can go this way, can go that way. And I find I handle it best when you have a good sense of humor. And ironically, that there's a friend of mine, a neighbor, actually, it's more of my parents' friend. So this older lady, and she's been in real estate for a while. And, you know, once I asked her about, you know, how is it when you're developing new projects and stuff? And she laughs. She loves laughing. And she just told me, man, when you're in this real estate game, you must have a sense of humor that is your default setting. Sense of humor, because you are guaranteed to meet situations that you'll either go crazy if you don't know how to laugh. Yeah. Some of the crimes and some of the mischief that you can come across, and people are playing, and, you know, this is a big project, a lot of money involved, but people are still doing some funny shenanigans. You just have to learn to laugh at yourself, learn at the situation, while still keeping a firm hand. And bringing it back to on stage, a music performance. When I was with the Villagers Band, we had a catchphrase that kept us sane. That you hit a wrong note on stage, you just say, let's just say it's jazz.
Yeah.
And you keep going.
Shout out to Chris Adwar, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There's actually a lecturer of mine who used to say, wakitaka kusikia venye music ilikuwa kwa CD, wacha wasikize kwa nyumba. Otherwise, penye tuko live and we shall make mistakes. Yeah.
And those are not mistakes. They are variations on the theme.
Exactly.
That's the technical thing. So when you look at it like that, it's up to you whether, because life has just dished you a lemon. So
squeeze it.
Is this for lemonade?
Yeah. Whatever you want.
Is it for tequila?
Yeah. And there's someone who said, however, what bitter a lemon is, it doesn't stop making lemonade. Like, you will still make lemonade. You just have to dilute a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, if you could remember a circumstance or a situation on stage where your mental space affected a performance, or where you were probably called for a concert or a gig, and then you remembered something, and you're like, or maybe you had a really hard day or something in that direction. Yeah. Do you have any at the top of your mind?
Yes. Yes. Some years back, maybe 8 years ago, the band that I was playing with, there was a major dispute behind the scenes, and my band leader, I think, could have handled it better.
Yeah.
And but instead it was very confrontational before the event.
Yeah.
And something that I've really come to appreciate is even particularly with creatives, if there's beef, deal with it for sure, but deal with it after the event.
Yeah.
If you start confronting somebody now, and the guy may have been, whoever it is, probably deserves that reprimand. They were late, they were not prepared, they were whatever it was. But basically, if somebody now has to go on stage and they're in a frame of mind that, some band members are not even looking at the others, they're just playing it.
And you're thinking about, can home time come? Can home time come?
Yes. So technically, they will play all the right notes. Whatever the song started when it was meant to start, it ended when it ended. But man, now there's this magic ingredient some people call as soul. There's no soul in it.
Now our blend.
That's really about it. That the beef they are feeling at that point, they really can't blend. They really can't meet at that point. And you know what? The audience will just detect it somehow.
It will.
And so there was that, and we had some really big performances which were lined up, some festivals as well as smaller gigs. And I remember that was a really crappy time for me. I don't have fond memories of that particular, because I remember just after the dressing down, it was me who was on the receiving end of that. And then you've been told, anyway, go deal with it. Sound check is at this time. And I remember just feeling that disconnected. And you just show up just so that we don't create any more problems. You show up because you're meant to show up. You play, but, you're just staring off into space, and that connection was not there. And I think also that was the beginning of the end of that particular band. Yeah. We didn't carry on, though it was quite an awesome collection of talent. But there have been such things, and what you find is that maybe the client or a promoter, whoever, hired you guys for that, and they hired you, remember, because they know what you're capable
of doing.
Yeah. They've seen you on a high. They've seen you at your best. And then round bwana.
What happened?
What happened?
Why
am I being shortchanged here?
Yeah, and it can be complicated. And now that you are with a band, right? What are the things that you would want to apply to your own band that you probably learned from where you're coming from? Looking at the space of the creative can be very tricky and especially very easily triggered. And I think we've all experienced that. What mikakatis have you put across, even for yourself? Because we usually talk about boundaries, and the boundaries, unfortunately, the boundaries we're talking about are boundaries for putting people away. But however much you put people away, you cannot keep them from doing certain things. But there are those boundaries you can actually tell yourself, if this happens, I won't react in a certain way. So maybe in that direction, what are the things that, and even though you haven't been able to apply them per se because everyone is different, what is that hope that you have that even as you work with a band, that you're able to put across so that the mental space is in the right place? And easy jobs this year, because that's also a mental health concern in itself. Easy jobs as easy ender. And so even as we take care of our mental health, you have to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. So what does your space look like in that direction? Like, what are you doing so that you don't deal with the mental issue that comes with losing jobs and with the mental issue of how you treat your band members?
Well, as much as possible, first, like a good chef will tell you, starts with the ingredients that you're bringing together. You may have the most fabulous recipe, but if the ingredients are off, that dish is not going to turn out well. Now, the ingredients here, I'm referring actually to the human beings. That what collection of guys am I putting together? Because what is really, in my experience, is inescapable is the structure, the musical structure you'd like to create. Again, comes down to being as strong as the individual, bricks that you have there. So I am very fortunate that I have a cohort of fantastic musicians. I have the honor of leading a group called the Justified. And you can listen to us live at Gecko Cafe every Friday.
Please tell everyone about it. It's fine.
Come to Gecko this Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Meskia? Yeah, looking forward.
Tutakuinvoice kidogo. No, kidding. Keep going. No mental issues right now. We are fine. Yes.
Simnaona. Right. So with the Justified, and again we grew from a duet, just saxophone and guitar, and now we are up to 7 band members, and they are all fantastic human beings to start with. And actually somebody has told me this, when we've had guest artists coming to work with us. Someone just asked me, Timo, how mbona uko na wasaipoa hivi? Because off stage they are great people. On stage, we get on well. During practices and rehearsals, of course, there's always the creative tensions.
Yeah.
And what I find about these guys is they're fantastic in how they communicate to one another, in how they push each other, how they reprimand each other. And we all need it at one time or the other. How they congratulate each other. And how on stage, if something starts to go left, how guys will rally around together. And
like literally that community on stage. Yeah.
And save the situation. Because they have a very clear picture that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And this whole thing, so it doesn't have that toxic thing of maybe if you missed a note on stage, you forgot your line or whatever. And you find guys laughing behind your back. Now, those are your own band members. You suck. You suck big time and you're making this band suck. No,
that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. And it doesn't help. Rather, it's the ones of, hey, Tim has forgotten his line there, and somebody will nudge you, or they'll even change. Okay, we were meant to be going into a chorus there. Let's do the verse again until this guy remembers. But it saves the situation and it saves the whole picture, so that later when we get off stage and people come around, man, thanks, we enjoyed the performance, and you can't believe what they're saying, because you tell them, hey, today we have struggled to keep our heads above water.
Yeah, and nobody needs to know.
No, and they're like, we could not tell.
Yeah.
What do you mean? No, man, we loved it. The energy and the
synergy.
And the synergy. Yeah, they're all working well. And so that's why I say start with good ingredients. Having covered that first ingredient, then like a good chef, now it's mixing them. And what I find is, as a band leader, understand the strengths of your team and put them in the place where it's optimal. It brings out the best in them.
Yeah.
And then, again, a good chef will also allow this ingredient to flavor this one, and to everybody's bringing something. And when you allow them and encourage them to express it. So I think I consider it an accolade when I've had guys playing with me. One guy actually told me, Tim, out of all the bands I've played, one reason I really enjoy playing with the Justified is you just let me be me.
Yeah.
You don't try to stamp the team flavor on the finished product, that everyone can say, okay, yeah, team must have been the one who controlled that. No. We have had the privilege. In fact, I remember who that was. Very famous young man, Casmuel.
My gosh.
Yeah.
We know people at the 145 booth, by the way.
Yeah, that we do, and people know us. And no. That's something he said that he really loved. That he found it to be a very free environment, and that was also from a previous band that we had worked together in. And I just thought, well, why would you try to bottle up Casmuel? Somebody like that. I'm sure there's people in the security services who have an answer, but from in the musical space, why would I want to? Because he's a very colorful
Yeah,
performer.
he is.
Yeah.
He is. He really is.
Yeah, and so when I see what all my different people are bringing, I say, why would I tell them, tone it down?
Tone it
because
down, kidogo,
you're
because
outshining me.
Tim Riungu has to be known. All right?
That's utter nonsense. I'll be shortchanging myself.
Yeah, it's true.
And then the other effect of that is their mental health. When people are somewhere where they know you can express yourself, you can bring suggestions, you can flip the script even on stage.
Yeah.
On bass, when we have a guy called Seda, and when he makes eye contact with the keyboardist, I just know something's about to happen behind me. So we just keep
a communication.
Yes.
Be ready.
Because that song will suddenly be reharmonized. The safest thing is you, saxophone, just keep playing what you were playing, and but you guys, they will cook up something behind you that, so later everyone say, man, Tim, your band, you guys are so brilliant. Tim, you're so smart.
Thanks. So basically creating safe spaces at your place of work, and not just for the bands, but basically everywhere. Because I mean, if I'm looking forward to come to work, it's an advantage for you as well.
Oh, yes.
If I'm able to give the best that I can be able to give, it's an advantage for all of us as well.
Yeah.
So just to ask, I know the creative space, and a lot of our parents, you're getting into music and whatnot. There's this effect. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Everyone has their idea. Like everyone just believes that creatives work on there's a standard, either drugs, alcohol, something. Has your mental space changed since you became a proper creative, and in what direction? Has it affected, like, has your creativity got a new cuckoo? Because I mean, sometimes when you're creating something, you're like, oh, I want this to be the best, right? So has your mental space changed, and in what direction, ever since you became now an active creative and an active musician?
All right. I think from childhood, I was never afraid of, I was never afraid of being different. I was labeled cuckoo from childhood, just...
Umekubali tu.
Yeah, you just flew with it. Okay, how can being cuckoo earn me a living? As in, you don't fight it too much. And that was because, and that's before even I discovered a musical. Just another phrase I've heard is, Tim, you have a cartoon mind. And I embrace that. I like that. As a kid, I used to do cartoons. And my my hero those days was Mado, Paul Kalemba.
Yeah.
And, over the years, I've had the privilege of, meeting and working with very many famous people. And normally I'll just take, like, for example, I'm here with you, right? And, this is just, okay, it's work. So let's just get it done. So I'm not often starstruck. But when I met Mado, and I wasn't a young man either, I was like, Mado, this you. And he's such a cool guy, and we're good friends now. We exchange a lot of foolishness on occasion. So and that's a very high accolade from one retired cartoonist to another.
Love language.
Oh yeah, it is. And especially, I laughed because he told me, growing up he wanted to be a musician, then ended up a cartoonist. And that was funny because growing up I wanted to be a cartoonist, then I ended up a musician.
So ulisalimiana just, the way wanapatiananga ile ya kukimbia 100 inakwanga nini? The baton, yeah.
Yes,
shika.
Yes. Kwanza we complement each other now.
Yeah,
the circle is complete. So as a kid, I was used, because of my cartoons, of my sense of humor, I could just sit and entertain my classmates back in primary school by talking. I'll just start imagining something. You guys, and I'll get into, I'll be making a movie on the fly. And guys will be hanging on, you guy. And that's not a movie you've watched, because I'm actually composing it based on them.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, so Lydia takes this thing and runs and then discovers she can fly, and she flies, and Lydia herself is, what else can I do?
Yeah, what else can
So I think that was my first indication that a future in accounting was not on the books for me. Unless you work for the mafia, of course, because they love creative accounting. But I just knew, okay, here maybe sciences might not be my strength. Sciences they really value
Yeah.
stick to the
Structure.
facts and
Yeah,
structure.
and facts and
Yeah. But perhaps I had a future in the part of the world or the part of the universe where they appreciate creating and visualizing what does not yet exist and seeing what that potential is. So I could say I learned not to take it as an insult.
Yeah.
There were things I would take personally. If someone commented on the shape of my head. And
don't make us look at it though, but okay.
You're laughing because you've been looking and you've been thinking it. Go on, say.
I plead the fifth.
As I was saying, viewers, this is an example of triggers. And then they laugh at you. But then, anyway.
Okay.
No, but even that, I had to learn. Ebu Bwana reinvent that thing. And so when someone commented on the shape of my head, now this was mostly in teenage when those things are sensitive. Then you just learn to say, oh yeah, this is a bespoke head. This is a custom-made masterpiece. And that's why it's strange to you, because no two have been made. In fact, the mold was broken.
Yeah.
I suspect my head was still in the mold as it was being broken. But the long and short is, out came a masterpiece. Art. When you grow up, you'll appreciate it.
When you grow up, it's an insult.
Is it?
No. Like no. Wait. When
I didn't know.
no, like when someone tells you when you grow up, it means that you're not able to fathom the things that are supposed to be fathomed now. But maybe when you grow up, you'll figure it out.
What is the insult?
There's no insult.
It is
like to them.
It's
to
a motivational speech. Grow
okay,
up.
Tim. Okay, Tim.
Not so. Okay. Maybe there could be scars. Yeah, but so then now the whole thing of thinking out of the box and thinking unusually and having an unusual sense of humor, I think just became par for the course for me.
Yeah.
So that then when I did now get into music, if anything, music is what has structured me.
Yeah.
So bring your ideas and just try and play. Again, Chris Adwa once told me, this was years ago in the 90s, that, okay, you're good at improvising. Now work on holding the melody.
Holding the melody.
Yeah. Jazz music works something like this. We have the basic melody. In jazz, it's called the head. So we'll start like, oh, when the saints go marching in, and that's a tune people know. Yeah. Then now the next round, improvise, as in build something related to that without say. It's like say, oh, when the saints go marching in, without saying, oh, when the saints go marching in, and melodically. And so then now you'll start improvising on that melody and going off, And now that's what I love. That's what I lived for. So he told me a lot of people, a lot of musicians, improvising now is the challenge. And they wonder, how do you do that?
You're doing it in reverse.
Yeah, now in reverse. For me, because now holding the melody, I would get distracted. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the not yet.
Not yet. Keep it straight.
Finish then you'll start scuba do ukombele. Man, so me, I guess even my thinking and my speaking, it tends to Scooby-Doo. So then now, that just, music now just brought structure. And again, kudos, even the guys I work with, like our trumpet player, Ben. Fantastic trumpeter, trained in classical music as well as jazz.
Yeah, shout out to Ben. Shout out.
Hi, Ben. We love you. And again, Ben will tell me, this is the way, go ye in it.
Go ye in it.
Yes, in the middle of practice, he'll call out, what was that note that you played? I say, thank you. Because I need such people around me. Cedar, again, he'll be big on that. So that way, then I just find I can take a reprimand as an insult on my creativity or an opportunity to grow. Because perhaps genuinely I'm doing something not in the best way. you can keep hitting a wrong note and brushing it off. Sio ni jazz. Yeah, but we know it's a wrong note.
But
how about if you hit the right note? Let's even jazz has right notes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and it's interesting when you talk about having people who are able to, correct you in a proper way. And I believe that's the beginning of our mental health, or not the beginning really, but part of it.
Yeah.
Like when you find yourself in a really horrible working situation or in a very horrible pressure like kind of place, you just want to leave, and high chances are you might not give it your best and your creativity might not pop as much as it needs. So just to probably take you aback or take you back, which is an event in your life that you would tell us that literally affected every string of your creativity in life? It could be one, it could be two, but is there one that you have at the top of your head that you could tell us?
An event.
And how it affected your creativity?
All right, an event that affected my creativity.
It could be your personal life, it could be maybe even in the creative life, it could be something that happened. Any that you can think at the top of your head?
Well, actually, it's funny you ask that because I've wondered, is there anything that does not affect
I see.
yeah, my creativity? Oh goodness. I mean, life is full of sounds, if I'm talking as a musician. In the middle of an improvisation, remember my cartoon mind, it'll just wander off somewhere while I'm playing. And I'll remember a matatu horn. I'll just throw it in, what key are we then? Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. That was a horn melody from back in the day. Or this thing reggae DJs like playing, and then you carry on, and people. But that's just to say that things just talk to me, and then they come out. They come out. Like I said, a lot of my creativity is spontaneous, and when in the middle of a jazz improvisation, again, you remember a line from classical music, Jesu, the joy of man's desire. It's a tune that goes da 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 da, and you throw that in a Mugithi song, and it works.
Wait.
But
I'd like to be in that performance, but go on.
Gecko, 7 p.m. every Friday.
Okay.
I had to repeat to her, but come as well.
Don't get me fired. Keep going.
I'm going. Yeah, but that's the thing, because events are all around. So that's why the answer is yes to your question. But now pinning one particular event.
And so maybe I could maybe ask the question, how do you get off of that funk when something has really affected you and your mind is but I have to go perform. Like I usually tell my students, being a voice coach, you could be called for a gig in the evening and you have to hype the crowd, but yet you've had such a horrible day, but this gig is going to pay you good money. And even for you as a creative, it's not really about the money. It's about what you're able to, express in yourself. How do you get out of that? Or maybe you've had a really excited day and then you have to go perform to a group of people who probably just want quiet, silent music. And all you're thinking is just pushing your instrument and doing everything it takes to sound as good as you want. How do you get off that funk? Because as a creative, you kind of become an actor. Yeah. Yep. So how do you okay, I'm here. I need to do this.
Yes, as a creative, yes, you do have to be an actor. And I think Shakespeare put it well when he said, all of life is a stage and all of us are actors. And, you just entry left and exit right at your time.
At your time.
Your question takes me back to 2011. I think it was around July. And this was a Blankets and Wine, one of the earlier editions back then. So when I remember, it was much smaller, just a lot more basic. And again, the Villagers Band was playing. In fact, we were headlining that particular show. And then one of us had just gotten news that his sister had been involved in a road accident. Now, he got that news just before we got on stage. And I found him rather pensive, and when he's seated there pensively, there's sound check going on all around him.
Yeah.
And him and his sis were like close, practically twins almost. Yeah. He has many siblings, but now those two, that was like a sibling he really resonated with. And so we also knew her because, she would always be around our performances. And but I think he was told, you just relax. She's been taken to hospital, and And I'm saying this because just the other day I came across a video from that particular event, and I was wondering, wait, wasn't this the one that, because our guy performed, and we all performed, but I was wondering, goodness, what's going on at the back of his mind? And so even when we finished, that particular blankets engagement, as in we just took off straight to the hospital. Though unfortunately she passed on, and that's what we found. But so when I was watching this old that clip from 2011, I was just thinking how almost cruel that adage that the show must go on. People have been bereaved. Creatives have suffered, loss and whatever. And that was just off stage, and sometimes if they have got very perceptive people around them, those ones will try and even hide the news from them before they go on stage. Yeah, because definitely it'll have an impact on the mental state, on the emotional state, and ability to deliver. But then you also find there's a side that, it said people mourn differently. And you can find somebody gets heartbreaking news and they curl up into a ball and they're non-responsive. And then somebody else also gets the same news and they deal with it by being really busy.
Yeah.
And now, okay, that means visitors are coming over. Okay, now ameenda kushughulika. Okay, make sure there's tea, there's refreshments, there's this, that. And now even getting them to sit down is a problem.
Is a problem.
Yeah.
Because they cannot sit down in the pain.
No. That's how they'll express it. So you can find also a performer will just take this news that has come or this state of events that is bothering and said, now I'll use you as fodder for the machine because something has to, the show has to go on.
It has to go on.
The show has to go on. And I'm talking that in showbiz terms, but I think this is something that can be applied in any area of life, in any profession, any career. Can you imagine being a police officer, and or a KDF officer, a Kenya Defence Force, and your comrade, something happened to them, or you just got news from home. But now the reality is, though even your superiors know, that news that this guy has just gotten from home, he should be released and from active duty and go attend to things. But the reality is, there's no one to replace you at the moment, and we can't leave that.
And we can't leave that person manned. Yeah.
So that's where even I guess you could find KDF guys just saying, "Mazee hapo kujikaza kisop," and just do what has to be done. If it's a musician, the show must go on.
It must.
Sometimes it could be contractual reasons, and then others it's not even the contract, but it's I don't know, maybe little kids have been looking forward to your performance and they've shown up and they've traveled. And what they know is they're coming to hear Lydia sing. Ah, my goodness.
She cannot afford not to.
And there's a kid there, I love you, Lydia, and all that. Man, you know what? You just put aside your thing or even don't ignore it. Now, throw it in the furnace.
Let it be the fuel.
The fuel. 20. And that's that's when now you really deliver that thing. I don't know if it's a joke, though it's a rough joke, but people say Adele releases she composes many of her her biggest hits.
Yeah, when
she's
she's
in a place of heartbreak or whatever. So it's almost, so someone was imagining, her managers are like, these days, but she has a happy relationship. It's bad for business. Siwafanya ka heartbreak ndio song moto itoke and money starts flowing in. So, but that's the thing that this thing, either it's going to destroy me, or I can master it and harness it into
and take it somewhere.
Something. Yeah, take it somewhere where it will help me, it'll help somebody. But that's a choice that's open to us.
Yeah? You've been in the industry for a bit.
Apparently.
Yeah? How long would that be, if you don't mind sharing?
I don't. I think I considered myself a professional from 2007.
Yeah, that's how many years?
2005, 18 years.
No, I won't do the calculation just in case.
Okay,
So now...
18-year-olds. When you were being born, I was playing saxophone. And now that you have an ID, you can come for our shows. I've been practicing since you were born, literally.
I'll give you our invoice. Nitakutumia invoice. But keep going. Keep advertising yourself.
Msituangushe. And this one, just like, subscribe, and say something nice in the comments for her, because she's just throwing shade here. I don't know. But
so anyway, yes, so having been moving on swiftly.
Very.
So being in the industry for that long, do you think that the creative has proper avenues to express themselves, other than, of course, the expression of being a creative? But do you think we have enough, or are we open enough to each other to actually have conversations that surround? Because most of the time, to chap a gig, where went home? I won't call you to find out kama ulifika. And that time you're fikaing home is 3 a.m. and you live not in a very safe neighborhood or something. And especially for guys who are just starting off. Like, do you feel like we have, apart from just the avenues that are there for us to be able to attend to our mental health, but also do we ourselves have that ability to create safe spaces? Like, I mean, Tim, if you're the band leader, the first thing I'll do at 3 a.m. is just probably text and tell guys, hey, if you feel at home, please let me know. Let's just do a head count. Do you think that would help? And do you think that we have that ability to do that? And do we have it anyway?
Always and absolutely yes. Yes, it helps. And yes, we have the ability to do so. I've not always been a band leader, but that means many of my best band leaders from times past have done exactly what you say. You know, they actually, okay guys, good show, everyone, how are you getting home? Uko sorted, uko this, uko that. Now I say,
umelipa rent, umefanya nini?
Stuff like that.
How can we help? Is your family okay? Wamekula? School fees imelipwa?
Oh yeah. And you know, 2007 is just when I started doing music for a living, but I've been playing sax since the 1990s. And back in the days, one such band leader was Julian Chula, who's known for other things now, not so much music. And he was such a cool guy in that, yes, I do have a memory of him dropping me at the gate, making sure I got home at 2 or 3 in the morning. And this is the 1990s. There's nothing like Uber. KBS
Ni taxi tu. Na matatu.
And taxi, who is affording those things?
No.
Because, seriously, Uber was a game changer. Back then, and then even then, that taxi, unless you're wherever they happen to be parked, you know, you had no means of calling them. Yeah.
Or mpangane 9 p.m.?
Yep. Oh, yeah. And in fact, creatives, guys who were working in the creative space back in the days, I mean, they have war stories. One guy tells me, because he was more seasoned in that, so he used to advise me, what you need to do, have a relationship with this watchman, what do they call them, alarm response guys. So there are these guys in Nairobi, you'll find them parked in a pickup somewhere. Yeah. So a whole bunch of hoo-ha, and often with a dog there. And so they're just parked and waiting in case an alarm is triggered and they'll respond. So him just so, Like if you're going from CBD to say South Sea, those are your guys. So again, back in the 90s, you'll give them some small amount of money and they say, just South Sea, okay. Hop in, and they rush you there and back in time to be at their post. Now, but of course, those were tiny pickups they had back in those days. So now it's the dog to move for you on the floor. So the good thing is you are safe. No one's going to mug 5 grown men and an Alsatian by the time they get to you. But you see, those were because you've been paid peanuts. Even what you offer in those guys was peanuts.
It's peanuts.
And then you'd find back in the day again, if it's the promoter, if it's the band leader, maybe every man for himself. Good luck. So a lot changed, especially in the from 20 years ago in the Kibaki years when the economy picked up, things improved. Things as simple as street lighting coming. Because then you can walk with a saxophone, in Nairobi at night. Gigs started paying better. And also band leaders started learning manners. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe musicians now could negotiate for a better deal. That transport is also thrown in there. And those are lessons then that we've come learning. And today I think we're in a far better place, because even for a musician starting out, and what I would tell them is the answer is within you people, your group. Look out for each other. Pull resources, pull ideas, and what happens, you will find the answers. We have to make sure, especially the ladies, get home safe. Put your heads together. The answer is already there.
Yeah.
So it's just you guys. But when everyone is selfish and looking out only for themselves, then recipe for regret. So do we have the capacity to do something? Absolutely.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. All right. Yeah, so the answers are among us. And most of the time we are always looking out for someone else to give us answers. Yet we are able to create that community. And Tim, just to probably also just let you know that the 145 the 145 booth is about it's about us just creating a safe space and being in a space where we're able to talk about who we are for sure and having safe conversations. And how would you, and we say, because now from this conversation I could actually say we have figured out that 145 is very basic. It gets a better response, right? It gets it is necessary sometimes, and especially because that's what you want to do. So what are the top 3 basic things that you would tell someone to do to be in their best mental space? Whether they're doing creatives, whether they are just in another industry, in just general life and in everything else. What are the 3 things that you'd probably tell someone if you're struggling with your mental space? Try and do these 3 things. It, as we say, the 145 booth is not a disclaimer. We are not a substitute for therapy. So if you need help, please seek professional help. But there are things that we can do on a daily that would actually help someone just, feel a bit better. And then now you can go like that first aid. What are the 3 top things that you would tell someone who's actually struggling with a mental health challenge? Yeah.
Well, something I got from you off camera was...
you see, I'm useful.
Apparently you are.
Apparently.
Very much so.
I try. Yeah, you just try remove me. Like, tell the editors to remove me from this and just talk on you and see.
It won't be the same.
It won't be the same. So I'm useful. Thanks.
Someone give this girl a hug. And so what I would say is when we're looking at mental health, we can get an example from physical health. And what are components of physical health? There's exercise, there's diet. And if we just pick those 2 and look at it now from the mental perspective, what are you feeding your mind? What are you exercising your mind to do? I found that what I speak about myself and what I speak about situations puts me either in an empowered state of mind or disempowers me.
It's very true.
Yeah,
it's
with
true.
regards to that thing. If I can tell myself that the economy is looking like it's looking. But you know what? I'm going to make it anyway.
Make it anyway.
Because there are chaps, I don't know, like Warren Buffett, who, whether the stock market goes up or the stock market goes down, he just asks himself, how can my interests prosper, whether the market goes up, whether it goes down? And it requires a shift so that then I'm not stubborn and rigid that this is the only way I'll go. Now that one, it can work under certain conditions. Now, when those conditions change and I still refuse to change, life starts hitting me now. So a good thing would be to ask and speak to myself. Of course, words that put me in an empowered position. Tim, there's a gig that, guys are auditioning for. It's a big thing. It's a big deal. Now, the negative voice in your head could be like, that thing is so big,
huge.
You're going to mess up.
Yeah, you will drown in there.
And that's probably true if I feed it long enough. But then there's also the other way that, man, this big is too big to miss. This ocean that I could drown, no, it's big enough to buoy me up. Man, this thing is carrying me up.
Yeah.
It's carrying me up. And when I make up my mind, and when my team makes up our minds, you guys, let's do this thing. This thing is, we've got what it takes, and it's so big, we can't afford to miss it. And we've always come out tops. And then, was that number one, I think?
Number one.
Secondly, it was a great point. It has gone, but it will come back. We are... there's three parts to us.
Yes.
Spirit, soul, body. Attend to all three.
Yeah, don't ignore one.
Yes.
Hoping that the others will sort the other one we've ignored.
Oh, no. No. As a mental health thing, take care of your physical health. Get out, walk. Do something that gets blood circulating. That makes you breathe heavily.
Yeah.
Because those endorphins and other nice things that are released in the body, you find it's harder to look at life negatively, including a boss that is sent from hell. But somehow, just being in a good physical state contributes to that. Being a good spiritual state, that's the part of you that can believe for something that has not yet manifested. Once upon a time, Lydia, you were a little girl running barefoot in Embu. and I was probably doing the same in Meru. But did you, if you saw people or host on TV, hosting a talk show, that would be nice. But given your present circumstances with your primary school escort and all that.
Yeah, and the checked boxes.
Yeah, checked boxes. Yeah. No. You didn't look like studio host material then. But the part of you that could believe in a future that is not yet manifest, that someday I could actually change dresses, and apparently you have. And so that's the spiritual part of us. Feed it. And that one is fed by God's word. I'm a follower of Jesus. So that's the recipe that I'll give you. Those are words of life. And not only do they feed the spirit, they even renew the mind. Yeah, so that's a two-tiered benefit that you're getting right there. And so that was point number 2, that exercise all three parts of us. Because then what I find is that what information am I allowing in? Because whatever it is will become true. Henry Ford is quoted as saying, think I can or think I can't. Either is true. It's what am I giving my attention to? And that I've found practically true. Can I play the saxophone? Yes and no are both correct answers. It's me to choose which one.
It's you to choose which one.
Now, and this one bothered me for years. Can I play it professionally, at that level where you're remunerated for it. And for many years, nilijishuku, but then, and it was true. Then I wasn't. But the day I decided, you know what, let us just do it. Just do it. Not even try, just do it. Nike onto something. And then you just find that, okay, yes, I can play saxophone and be paid for it as well. Can I be part of a professional band? Apparently, yes and no are both valid answers.
True.
You choose.
Then
I'm in a professional band playing saxophone, but now can I lead a professional band?
Yeah.
And again, those are just barriers that have, in my life, and that's my journey. And everybody, thankfully, has theirs. Everybody, and all these guys we've mentioned, so many peers in our industry. Whenever I chat with them, they've also had that journey.
Everyone has their journey.
Yeah. And that journey has those milestones. The day I decided I can do this, then, you're told maybe nobody will pay more than X amount for a saxophone player. And then you make that price, and then one day you beat it by maybe a couple of thousand shillings. So, okay, if I could go over by a couple of thousand, maybe what if we doubled the amount?
Yeah.
And the next time a client makes an inquiry, you ask for double the amount.
X amount.
And they are happy to. They're not at even giving you. You say, yes, of course, done. And MC Jesse once told me how his first gig, comedy gig, he just used to do funny skits in church. And when one fellow from that church really liked it, young man, he was a Nigerian chap. He said, well, my company are having something. Why don't you come MC? Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. Okay, it was new ground. I'm actually going to do comedy outside church.
Yeah. And
so this guy asks him, so how much, what do you charge? Now, has Jesse ever charged anybody? No. You ni kazi ya bwana. So he just plucked a figure from the air, 5,000. It sounded like money to him. The Niger guy just laughed. He told him, you come and do the gig. And he did the gig, and at the end of it, he gave him, I think, 55 Gs.
Oh, wow.
And I just told him, boy, now what you're doing is worth a lot. It's even worth more than I've paid you.
Yeah.
But maybe it's you who's not ready for it.
But this is what I had in mind.
Yes. But Jesse,
It's a whole extra 50 Gs.
Yeah. But then he said, if someone is able to overpay me by 50, then can another one overpay me by 100? Then, well, today try hiring Jesse, and come prepared. But once his mind started understanding what's possible. So those are the things, some of the things I would say. Work on your mind like it's your body. Check the nutrition that you're feeding your mind. Is it sob stories? Is it stories of doom and gloom? Because those are, by the way, non-negotiables.
Yeah.
I can't be hanging around somewhere where they're saying, there's no money in music, things are just going down. The way the economy is shrinking, and no one's hiring bands. No one, in fact, everybody wants now just get DJs because they're cheaper than bands. And even those DJs who are now finya the money. If that's the only environment I am in, it becomes such a reality for me. Remember, I spoke earlier about choosing the ingredients that you want in your group.
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah.
And whether this is a popular thing or not, I'll say one of my principles when I'm choosing the ingredients for my band are guys who can see what is possible. Guys who are daring. Because again, I've had guys approach me, and by the way, they are really good at what they do. But they don't seem to be able to see beyond a certain reality. And so that when you say, guys, I just came up with this crazy idea that we could, audition for a festival somewhere that, hey, it's only the big boys who go there. So, that's why we are going.
That's why we are going.
That's
the big boys.
Yeah, are we not? And, and I think our West African guys have plenty we can learn. They can teach us about that. That a guy will just be so daring. He has his full Niger ego there, but it takes him places. It opens doors. He, and he's there and just so confident. And people even wonder why he's asking for such little money, because he's presented what he has. He believes in his product so much that, man, you become a believer, and you say, whatever price you say, we're meeting you there. And that way, then we can change from looking at ourselves as victims, because the harsh realities in this industry, you can't be victimized, you can't be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
You may be a fabulous creative, a singer, dancer, actor, musician, and you can do amazing work, but you're being paid less than your value. But that's the key word. You yourself, you're the only person in the room who's not seeing your value. So then we just have to have that talk. You and a mirror. And start seeing
Encourage yourself.
Yeah, encourage yourself. Dress up well, just so that you get used to seeing yourself dressed up well. Get used to seeing yourself looking like a star. There's a gentleman in the industry we've worked with in the past, and he used to say, "Hey, me, I just want to be a star." And with all due respect to him, you look at him, how he would present himself, and say, "No, man, no. First, you don't look like your words. You don't look like your aspirations." So anytime we meet opportunities, they will just treat you the way you've presented yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I don't know Lydia's potential. You are the one who has it in mind. And so one way of communicating that to me is how you dress. Dressing is a form of communication. And so we tell him that. In fact, I remember one time we were going for it was actually a ritzy event, Mount Kenya Safari Club. And on the way there, another band member asked, you do know we're going for like a black tie event. So I hope you carried,
something that looks like that.
That's approaching black tie, a tuxedo, a coat, just anything. And said, "No, you mean I can't go until I can never dress up in a tuxedo until I'm paid a certain amount of money." And in my head, a voice is this nuisance voice that brings brilliant ideas to me just says, "Yeah, and that's why nobody's about to pay you that yet, because you're not yet dressing. If maybe your next benchmark is 50K, I have to be 50K for an event, 100K, 500K. We will think about paying you 500 Gs for an event the day you're looking like 2 million.
Yeah.
So that by the time you've come looking like 2M, and getting you at 500 Gs is a bargain. So let's settle at 500, because this one looks, if they insisted, we would have to look for 2 million somewhere. So, and we used to try and communicate that with him. I don't think we were very successful. But, so that's a learning that I could say, and I tell myself, Tim, try and look like where you're going.
Yeah.
Because my first audience is me. Then my mind just changes in a positive way, that if I hear that, Tim, the Grammy band needed a saxophonist and your name came up, I said, why wouldn't
I'm ready.
Why wouldn't it? I'm ready.
Yeah. So, Tim, thank you. This has been quite a conversation.
My pleasure.
And so where can we find you on the Justified band and you? So you've told us countless times you're at Gecko Cafe anyway.
It's not countless times, it was 4.
At 7 p.m. Glad you were counting. So how can we find you? I'm joking with all this. Yeah, so go ahead, tell us where we can find you.
Well, right now, assuming you're not watching this on a Friday at 7 p.m., but right now you can get me on Instagram at Tim Riungu, and also at _Justified. Justified is spelled JAZZ. So at _Justified. And you'd like to experience us in person, you can always count on finding us at Gecko Cafe in Lavington, Nairobi from 7 p.m. To 9 p.m. And we look forward to hanging out with you. Come, let's make some good noise together.
Yeah, 5th time, 5 invoices. Who's listening? Betty, uko karibu? Yeah, invoice maratano. Oi.
Bring it on.
So thank you so much, team, for
My
coming
pleasure.
through. Thank you for also speaking about your mind about the same, and unashamedly so, because sometimes when it comes to mental space issues, let's not get there, because sometimes it looks like it's a form of like a weakness. I mean, you should be mentally strong. Everything should be working out for you. But it's also good to understand that not every creative is able to be in that space. And at 145, the 145 booth, we're trying as much as possible to also create a community, even with the guests who come, that we can be able to just create that safe space for everyone else. And thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for speaking to our audience. Yeah, and you've been watching the 145 booth. If you haven't yet, our social media platforms at the 145 booth. Kindly make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel at the 145 booth. Let us have the conversations. Let's keep them going. Thank you for joining us for this episode, and until the next one, asanteni sana. This is the 145 booth.